Welcome back, guys. So, this is episode 8 of the Pitre podcast. This is the first episode that's going to be starting on the weekly format. So, it's going to be releasing every Monday at 9 a.m. So, right when you guys are starting off the week at your crappy jobs, you'll be able to listen to me. So, yeah, doubling down on the crappy there. But yeah, it's the first one that's going to come out in the weekly format. Everything else was just dropped in at once. So it's officially been released as of a couple of days ago. Definitely subscribe to it, share it around, spread it around like an STD in a college campus. Do whatever you have to do to get it around. Definitely very much appreciated if you do. I'm working on getting it up on YouTube. God, YouTube's being annoying, man. YouTube's being so freaking annoying. So it takes like 2 hours to upload anything on YouTube. So the first episode is like 15 minutes. That was done in like 30 minutes. The second episode is 45 minutes. It took like 3 hours to upload. And once I finished uploading, it refused to upload if I tried to do it public. Like it would take literally 6 hours and it would still be like 45%. So then I had to put it on private, download it again, download a little faster, 3 hours, still abnormally long, but at least it's not fucking 6 hours. So, and then there was an error. So I have to and YouTube gave me some fucking bullshit that I have to do now to verify and a bunch of other stuff. So I got to do that first in order to put videos up that's longer than 15 minutes. And then I'm able to fully upload everything. So it's currently out now on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and I think on Samsung as well. We're going to be working on getting it on like iHeartRadio, of course, getting it up on YouTube. I'm going to slowly start pulling episodes up one by one. So over the next couple days, next couple of weeks, you'll see those episodes start coming up on YouTube. You can find it at the Pitre podcast on YouTube. So it would be there as well. If you're there, like and subscribe. Of course, it goes a long way. Spread it around. But we're not here to talk about my podcasting troubles. We are here to talk about, so this episode, right? I technically did this episode already. So everything that I'm about to talk about, I already have talked about it, unfortunately. And when I originally recorded the episode, I was supposed to drop 8 episodes and not 7 episodes at once, with the 8 episode being the one that I'm currently doing. But when I initially recorded it, audio-wise, perfectly fine. It was Gucci. The visual, though, I fucking recorded it in slow-mo. And I didn't even notice, which is insane because I'm looking at my video camera right now and I can tell it's not on slow-mo because you can clearly see what the setting's on, but it was on slow-mo and there was no way to undo it. I didn't realize it until I was editing that episode within Adobe Premiere Pro, and I realized the entire thing's on slow-mo and there's no going back. So I had to scrap that whole episode. And it's funny because I've been doing podcasting for over a year with my previous podcast, and the one thing that always happens to every podcaster or anyone who's making content creation is there's going to come a time where you didn't press record, or it didn't record properly. Like, it's gonna happen, Like, it's gonna come a time where you create some bomb ass content, you create a bomb ass episode, and it just didn't turn out right, or it just didn't record at all. And I always try to avoid that as much as possible because I don't want to go over things twice. I don't like doing that. So unfortunately, I couldn't avoid it. It's going to happen to all of us, unfortunately. And yeah, it's my second time recording this episode. So for this episode, I do think that, since it's my second time around, hopefully it's better than the first. I mean, there's no way to really compare the two because I deleted all the previous data to this episode. So who knows if it's better, but I think it'll personally be better. Maybe this is fate that I'm supposed to re-record this episode twice for some really strange reason. And the premise of this episode is basically to give advice to someone who is younger. So someone who is currently in high school or just getting out of high school or just got out of college, etc. So it's give my younger self that advice because I'm pushing 30. I'm old as fuck, bro. I'm basically a grandfather at this point. I'm not young anymore. And don't get me wrong, 30 is by no means old. It's really not. People really exaggerated that it's old, or you're in your unk status now, your unk years, but 30 is old, but I do think 30 is the realization that you're getting old. I think when you hit 30 and past 30, you start to realize, like getting older finally clicks, because when you're 21, 22, 23, etc., and you age another year, it's not that big of a deal, it's just another year. But once you hit 30, then you just feel like, like it actually clicks, it sinks in. It's like the realization that I'm actually getting old and I'm not going to be young forever. So is 30 by no means old? No, but it's the realization that you're getting old. And of course, as you get older, you're supposed to be getting wiser. Hopefully that's definitely like not across the board for everyone, but it's what should be occurring as you're getting older. So I just want to give like that younger self advice, just career-wise and just overall in life. I did have because I always write notes down so that I'm not going off complete tangents the entire time, because I can ramble to myself. I have that God-given ability. But I have some notes down, and I would say when it comes to talking to my younger self or talking to someone who is younger than me, first, and it depends on where you are in life. So in this example, I'm going to think of like someone who is like in high school. I remember personally like getting out of high school, I was scared as fuck, man. Like, the last couple months of senior year, I was stressing because I'm like, I just didn't know what I want to do. I didn't know what my path would be in life. Once I got out of high school, I realized that I'm actually going into the real world now. I have to become an adult. Like I always wanted to become an adult. Even when I was a kid, I never wanted to be a kid, or I never relished in being a kid. I always just wanted to be adult. And once I finally got to that stage, of course, there's nervousness. And I feel like that was probably the case for everyone, to be honest. But I just didn't know what I wanted to do and what direction I wanted to go into. So definitely speaking to someone that's within that age group or within that same situation, I would say definitely try figuring out what you want to do as fast as you can. And what I mean by that is, of course, you're not going to have it all together and all planned out perfectly, but have a general premise of okay, I want to go in this career field, or I want to do this, or I want to travel the world before I really start my career, or I want to do, have something like a premise or a game plan figured out to some degree of what you actually want to do. Because definitely if you're thinking of going into college, you don't want to just go into college and not know what you want to major in, because ultimately you're paying a lot of money to be there. And you want to make sure that if you are actually going to go to college, that it's getting your degree is going to be useful and you're putting it to good use, rather than just fucking around, having a good time and trying to figure it all out later. College is not supposed to be a place where you figure it out, if you will. It's a place to prepare you for your eventual career path. That's the point of college. So when you're getting into college, man, you're supposed to have some degree of knowing what you want out of life or what career path that you want to go into. And listen, if you don't want to go to college, that's cool too. You really don't have to go, especially nowadays. Most people kind of understand that. I think the older generations kind of drilled into us to go to college, but I do think that, before then, not everyone was going to college, so a degree was highly valued. Now everyone is going to college, so a degree is not that valued. Like a bachelor's is not that valued, an associate is not that valued. If you really want to be valued as far as your educational standpoint, you're going to have at least a master's or maybe even a doctorate, depending on your field. So that's just a heads up as well. There's going to be some fields that you're going to need a master's or a doctorate to really start making money in. For instance, being a doctor takes 10 years of schooling. So you better be content with being in school till you're in your late 20s, essentially. Or even for psychology, you're basically going to need a master's or a doctorate to even start making some real revenue just within that field. So know what you want to do to some capacity. If you want to go into healthcare, okay, you can go into healthcare. And from there you can figure out, okay, what avenue in healthcare that I want to go to. Or if you want to go into the arts, okay, what part of the arts? If you want to go into music, okay, do you want to go into music production, or do you want to go to music business and or law? So I do think that's overall helpful, and to have just a general understanding there. But then it comes to the point where you have to weigh. So there's two ends of the spectrum, right? So for me, there's on the right, you have being responsible. On the left, you have being retarded. What I mean by that is, so being responsible is like you're gung ho about if you didn't go to college, your career, just starting in that career path, being career focused, just this work essentially is the only thing on your mind. Being financially capable, being smart with your finances, saving a lot of money, investing into yourself. That's someone that's very on the end of responsible. And then we have being retarded, right? And what I mean by retarded, of course, I'm not trying to say, they have mental retardation or anything like that. But in that old school aspects of being retarded just means like being stupid. So you're fucking around, you're not getting anything done, you don't know what you want in life, you're partying all the time, you're just fucking getting high and drinking nonstop. You have like you're around bad areas if in your city or small town or whatever, or you're hanging around the wrong people, So that's being retarded. So there's two ends of the spectrum you can go, right? And of course, there's a lot of gray area in between. You can be 40% retarded, 60% responsible, which means that you're fucking around, but you're kind of getting shit done at the same time. You could be more responsible than you are retarded, which means that you're getting shit done career-wise, you're climbing up the corporate ladder, but you party and you smoke and you get high sometimes. Or sometimes, your friends are like an overall general bad influence. So there's two ends of the spectrum, but there's a lot of leeway in between. You have to figure out where in that spectrum you're comfortable with being for the next couple of years. And it's going to vary over your 20s. There's going to be some years where you go full retard, which is most likely going to occur in your early 20s. So in your early 20s or your late teens of 19, 20, definitely 21, 22, 23, you can actually start partying and drinking legally. You're probably going to go full retard. That's when most people tend to go full retard. So that's when they're enjoying life, They're not being financially responsible. A lot of people are at college during that time, which college is like the perfect breeding ground for being a retard in that sense. You're just fucking going crazy, You're drinking, you're partying, you're having a good time. You're still getting things done to a degree, but you're not being financially responsible. You basically have no money. No one has money in their early 20s. So if you're like 20, 21, 22, 23, and you're like, yo, I'm broke, bro, it's okay. Like, you're not supposed to be balling at 23. Like, your adult life just got started, The only people who are balling at 23 is if their parents were rich. Well, in that case, they're not balling, their parents are balling, and they're just living off of the spoils of that. So, like, you're good. So if you're in that time range or timeline and you're like kind of stressing out, you have no money, it's cool. Like, you're going to start hopefully getting some money towards the end of your 20s. But yeah, typically around those formative years of being a retard, you're going to just be going crazy. As you start to get older, you start to hopefully go towards the responsible scale. So you start to figure out, okay, what do you want in your career? What do you want to do long term? You start to progress up that ladder, whether it be like you're still in school, getting a master's or whatever, or you're already in your corporate career and you're climbing up the corporate ladder. You start to become more financially responsible. So you're saving more, you're not partying as much, you're still having fun with friends and stuff, but you're becoming more mature, and in becoming more mature, you're becoming more responsible, right? So you have to determine, if you're young, where you want to be in that spectrum. And listen, I'm not here to judge you. So if you're like, hey, I'm 18 years old, for the next 3 years, I want to go full retard, that's cool. Like, you're entitled to go full retard. Like, I'm not going to judge you for you wanting to go crazy when you're in your late teens and early 20s. That's what most people do. Now, personally, I didn't do that. So I did not go full retard, unfortunately. I was just on the responsible end my entire 20s, man. I just was... Unfortunately, I didn't get the opportunity to really go to college. I went for a semester and it was extremely expensive. And there was like a lot of circumstances that prevented me from not going. And a lot of circumstances that were not of my own, to be entirely honest. I'm not going to go too into the details regarding like why I wasn't able to go. But a lot of it was like expense-wise and a bunch of other stuff that kind of stopped me from going. So I just went straight into corporate America. So I just immediately got into real estate, worked in the commercial real estate sector, and then just like moved on from there. So I just was full responsible my entire 20s. So I really didn't get the opportunity to really go full retard in my 20s, which part of me now that I'm in my basically 30, kind of regret it a little bit. I'm like, damn, I should have went full retard for like a year or two, but I was just gung-ho about being responsible, unfortunately. So you want to have a balance. I think being in the middle is the perfect time. I think definitely when you're younger, you can be a little more on the retarded side, but as you get older, you can go to more responsible side. But I think, you got to find middle ground. You can't be too one way or the other. If you're full retard, life is passing you by and you're just going to fuck yourself up in the future. You don't want to be the guy who at 18 gets out of high school, then wakes up at 28 and says, damn, I didn't do anything with my life. Like, you don't want to be that guy. That's the one thing you don't want to do. I'd rather you go full responsible and you wake up at 28, you're successful in your corporate career, you're going up and you're going towards an upward trajectory, and you're like, damn, I never partied, I never really did anything fun. I'd rather you be that than be the guy who's like, yo, I don't know, I have basically no credentials, whether it be through college, no degree, or no real career for work or anything. So I don't want you to be that guy in the opposite ends of the spectrum. So if I had to choose, or if I would want you to choose, it'd be more on the responsible side. But just make sure that there's overall just a balance, man. Like, I want you to have fun, but I also want you to be responsible. And you can definitely do both. You don't have to do one or the other. You don't have, it's not politics. You don't have to be hard right or hard left. Like, you can be in the middle, man. It's cool to be in the middle sometimes. So definitely find a balance. It's okay to go a little retarded when you're younger. Make sure you become more responsible as you get older. Make sure you have just an overall plan. And again, it's okay to have fun. And if you're not into having fun and you're someone who doesn't like to go out or drink or party, bro, that's cool too. Everyone's different. Like, you can stay at home, or you can travel or find different activities that you personally find fun. If you're young, you don't like to party, that doesn't make you weird. That doesn't make you any less than. You shouldn't have any shame regarding that. You shouldn't let your friends shame you into that. It's just not your preference. Everyone has different preferences. Everyone finds fun in different ways. And if that's not your type of fun, that's totally cool too. But yeah, just find a balance, strike a balance, and just progressively get more responsible as you get older. But outside of that, I would say you definitely have to look at who you're hanging out with. That's a big factor too. And that's one thing that not a lot of people have in mind as they start to get older. A lot of people, they have their close friends that they're friends since middle school or high school, or college. And listen, as you get older, it's probably not going to be your same friend group, because who you are as a teenager versus who you are in your late 20s or early 30s are two completely different people. Like, who I am at 18 versus who I was at 28 were two very different people. So obviously my association is going to be very different too. Now, sometimes that's not the case. Sometimes you're with friends and you guys grow within the same pace and everything works out, but that's not going to be the case all the time. So you have to really determine if someone is being helpful or hurting you in your circle. And how to determine if someone's being helpful or hurting you depends on what you're trying to do in life and where you are in that retard versus responsible spectrum. So if you're someone who is very responsible, so you just you want to excel in your career as quickly as possible, or you want to be gung-ho about college and graduate with like a 4.0 or some shit like that, then you should be around people who are of that character, who are shooting for the same things as you. If you're someone who's very responsible, but you're hanging around people who are more who are going full retard at the time, there's gonna eventually be a disconnect where you're like, yo, like, why aren't you doing what I'm doing? Like, I'm trying to strive and become better, and you're just trying to, you're not doing anything essentially, which is okay when you're younger, but as you get older, you're quickly going to realize like, yo, this person needs to wake the fuck up. Like, you can't keep doing this forever. You got to shake out of it. You have to start to pursue something and get on with your life. So I think as you get older, you're naturally going to start to distance yourself and, wake up to that if you have friends that are currently, within that mindset. But you have to make sure that your overall friends and who you have around you is helpful or hurting you. And there's different ways that they can be hurtful, even if they are being very responsible like you and they're in an upward trajectory. If they're like overly negative or, talking down on you and your dreams and what you're trying to pursue, or like trying to undermine you in different ways, clearly they're not helpful. Even though they're on the same path as you, they're trying to, cut you out. So that's someone that you should possibly drop. So you really have to determine the people that you have around you, because one thing that I definitely came to realize is that your friends are who you are, is who you hang out with, essentially, to a degree. Now, nothing is ever black and white, so you can't take that as like definitive proof or a fact, but I do think there's a lot of credence in that. You are kind of who you hang out with. Like, you can tell who someone is by the people that they hang out with, to a degree, whether it be like their sense of humor, their ideals, their stances on politics, what they want out of life. Like, you can kind of get like a decent picture of who that person is from who they hang out with. So that's a big component, man. That's something that when you're younger, you're not going to take as seriously, but when you get older, you're starting to become more serious about it. And again, man, you can break people off without having to hurt, while having to there be bad blood, excuse me. So you can just be like, yo, we're different. We grew apart. We're just not on the same wavelength or path anymore, and you just don't have to hang out with them as much. So you can still be cordial. You can still say what's up sometimes and like chit chat here and there, but you're just not going to be hanging around that person that much because they're not really doing anything with their lives. So that's perfectly fine, man. You don't have to be like, yo, I'm cutting you off. You don't have to verbally say I'm cutting you off. Like, no one should hear that. Like, even if their friend is fucking up and at a bad place in life right now, like, you don't want to say that to them. That's fucked up. I've personally done it in the past and I've regretted it, because I'm just like, yo, it's just like a selfish dickhead thing to do. So don't be like me in that regard, and just casually distance yourself from them. Be like, yo, like, I still love you, but I'm just loving you from afar. And, if things are different, that we reconnect in the future. Like, there's no hard feelings in that regard. Some people might take it, as disrespectful, or take it a wrong way, which hopefully, you portray that it's all love, but I just can't hang out with you right now. It's just how it is. It's just going to be times in everyone's life where you have like great friends that are just going to distance themselves from you. Sometimes it's from your actions. Sometimes it's not from your actions. People go through stuff. Their life doesn't revolve around you. My friend's life, my family's life doesn't revolve around me. They have their own issues, their own problems, their own troubles they have to go through. And when someone's being a little distant, I always tell them that, yo, like, I love you. And if you need me, you need me. I'll be there for you. But like, if you got to take some time for you, like, it's cool. Like, if you don't talk to me for 3 to 6 months, like, it's fine. It's Gucci. I'm not going to take it some kind of way. Like, you're going through your own problems. Not everyone is good at communication, obviously, especially guys. We kind of like to suffer in silence more than women. So if someone's distancing themselves because of their own personal issues, I'm not going to bug them on it. I'm not going to make them feel bad about it. I'm not going to shit them on it. I'm just going to be like, yo, I love you. If you need me, I'm here for you, but you can take your time if you need to. And that's going to happen over the course of your friendships throughout the years in your early 20s. You're going to start to distance yourself from friends. Friends are going to distance themselves from you. You're going to start to like break or put certain friendships on hiatus, or you're going to start to make new friends. That's just how it is. Another thing to point out as well, dude, making friends as you get older is fucking hard. It really is. Because your set of ideals and principles and things you like and want out of life are different. When you're in school or when you're younger, it's so easy to make friends because, one, we're around each other all the time. We're in school or we're on the same block or whatever, so we see each other often. We're not striving or shooting for anything. We're just kids fucking around and, having fun. So it's easier to make friends in that regard. But as you get older, it starts to become a lot harder to make friends, you know? And plus, everyone's like very skeptical of like who you are, what do you want, depending on the area and where you're from. I'm from the Northeast, so like people are just by nature more like that. So it's hard to make friends, man. It's hard to just like cut the shit with people, and really get deep on like an emotional level for in regards to a friendship. So that's going to be something you're going to notice as well. Again, that's for some people, you know, like if you're someone who is extremely outgoing and just could talk to anyone and befriend anyone, dude, God bless you. I can't do that. Like, this is not who I am as a person. Like, it's hard for me to really connect with someone like that. I would say I'm very hot and cold. Like, I either am indifferent about you or I fucks with you. So there's no in between. So if I know you and like you're cool and you're an acquaintance, you're most likely going to stay an acquaintance, unfortunately. But if I fuck with you, I fuck with you, and I'll ride for you. So that's just how I am personally. Maybe it's just my personality or being from the Northeast again. But that's something that you're going to realize too as you get older. Let me check the notes because I want to make sure that I'm getting past everything. Okay, so I touched about just about everything off the cuff, which is impressive because I can go on tangents. And I have a knack for sometimes repeating myself and repeating my points, which I'm currently working on. So show me some grace there as well. But I want to circle back to, in regards to finding out what you want to do, because it's a lot easier said than done. For me personally, like I originally wanted to go to school for music because I loved music. As I started to learn more about the music industry, it overall turned me off to working in music. One, the pay wasn't going to be great. Ironically, like the music industry just doesn't pay well overall. Yeah, you can, become very successful in the music industry, but the median pay is horrendous. And that's across the board for like everything in the music industry. Not only that, but like you have to live in like music hubs. So I have to live in New York City. I have to live in Atlanta. I have to live in Chicago. I have to live in LA. Like I have to live in those places in order to like really find success in music, especially on the production side, because those are where all the artists are. Nashville, for example, as well. So it's all the music is being created there. I have to be in that area to be, up to date with the industry. So that's another reason why I didn't want to pursue music. But one thing you should always keep in mind when trying to figure out what you want to do is, what are you good at? Like, you have to figure out what are you good at. Like, what is your natural talent? And everyone has natural talent. I don't believe there's not one person on earth that's not naturally talented in something. I think personally, I may have brought this up in a previous episode, but I think everyone is world class at something. It can be something extremely random. It can be drawing. It can be speaking. It can be fucking flying kites. Like, everyone is world class at something. They just have to figure out what it is. So everyone has talent. I don't think there's not one person in the world that's talentless. You just got to figure out what you have talent in. And I think you naturally start to figure that out as you get older and try new things. Like, one thing that I'm not tooting my own horn. I've had multiple people tell me about this, that I'm good at talking. I was good at public speaking. Like I would have to do presentations in school, and I would always ace them. Teachers would tell me I should be a lawyer. Like, I'm good at getting my point across. I was good at writing as well. So those are two things that people would comment on. Like, you're really good at writing, you're really good at talking, you should become a lawyer or something within that public sphere. In every interview I ever done for a job and stuff like that, they always say like, oh, like you're really good at speaking. Like, you're really good at you have a great way of words, and for some reason when you talk, people want to listen. And again, I'm not saying that to toot my own horn because I'm saying that on my own podcast, but it's just something that people would tell me. So I always knew that going into a career, I would probably do something along the lines of speaking to some degree, or something that I truly want to do in life is going to probably be revolved around speaking. Ironically, I'm not a social person at all. Like, I have to do meetings for work and stuff like that, client meetings, and I have to like prep myself before doing the meetings because by nature, like I'm just not that outgoing and really want to interact with people that much. So it's ironic, I have the gift of speaking, but I don't really want to use it. But I've figured out my talent in speaking, and now my career path and what I excel at revolves around speaking. So find out what you're talented in, naturally gifted in, and try to find a career that works within that path. So at least you could have something to rely on, and you have something that you would be good at, and people would pay for your services or hire you to some degree. So that's a really, really good point that I wanted to touch back and go back on, specifically for if you're younger, trying to figure out what you want to do. But I just about touched on everything that I did on the previous podcast, which is good. So I think that is about it for this episode. Again, this is a do-over from an original episode, so hopefully it's better second time around. The podcast is on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Follow on both. It's going to be on YouTube. Follow there as well. And I'll be seeing you guys next week. Bye.